Hello and Assalamualaikum. So today's topic is finite CV analysis, where our main focus is jet impact. So we look at the force exerted, where every moving fluid exerted forces on the object that they contact with. So from this momentum equation, we can get the force exerted value, where the force exerted is equal to the sum of rate of momentum in minus with the sum of rate of momentum out. And for the application of it, where engineers use the momentum equation to calculate the force exerted on that particular object. So for the objective and the methodology for this experiment, as we can see, the objective is to investigate the reaction forces produced when change of momentum occurred when fluid strikes two different plates, which is a flat plate and a curved surface plate. For the hypothesis, the forces will be exerted according to the direction of x, y, and z axis, which will be different according to each angle of the jet deflection, since we are using two different surfaces. And for the methodology, the momentum force is determined by measuring the forces produced by a jet of water exerted on a solid, flat, or a curved surface, which deflect the jet at different angles on the different type of plate. Moving on the apparatus, where we can see there are a lot of equipment used, which are the weight pen, the spring, the knurled screw, inlet pipe, level gauge, target plate, nozzle, and adjustable feet. So for the procedure of this experiment, firstly, with no weight on the pen, adjust the head of the gauge lever until aligned with the datum line. Secondly, place a mass of 50 grams on the weight pen and turn on the pump. Thirdly, we open the bench valves slowly to allow the water to impinge upon the target until the datum line on the weight pen is level with the gauge. Fourth, measure flow rate using volumetric tank. The flow rate is established by collection of water over a time interval. Fifth, we repeat by reducing the flow rate. About 8 readings should be sufficient for this experiment. And lastly, the entire test should be twice, since we are using two types of plate, which is the flat plate and the hemispherical cup. For the result and discussion part, as we can see, we have the table for the forces exerted on the flat plate and the hemispherical cup. So, by this force exerted value, we can make a graph which differentiate between the flat plate and the hemispherical cup. So as we can see, the hemispherical cup have a more gradient graph. So when a flow rate increases, the force exerted will be increases. The plotted graph shows how the increment for both deflection surface, although both surfaces are different, but both shows an increment for force exerted on that particular object. And lastly, the hemispherical cup gives high gradient for the forces exerted. So to conclude this experiment, as we can see the flow rate increment will give us the increment of force exerted on particular surfaces. Error will be occur since we have or error during the reading taking maybe, and also different surfaces, where in this experiment we use two types of surfaces, will give the same conclusion, which is the increment of flow rate and the increment of force exerted. And lastly, we can conclude that hemispherical is more efficient than a flat surface. That's all from me. Thank you.